Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm excited that our guest today is Jen Moliter. Jen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. I'm excited to be on.
I am too. You have such a unique business that you've built, and I would love to just start with a little bit about what is it that you do right now?
So I'm an instructional coach for schools. I work with school districts and teachers and parents, and just the bottom line is I help to make better teachers.
I love that. And you have a different approach to what you think education should be centered on. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've been a teacher for 17 years, and after 5 years, I was getting to the point where I was already burnt out. And I was a kiddo who, at third grade, I wanted to be a teacher. And I set my sights on it. I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. Just 5 years in, I was like, oh my God, this is too much. I was overwhelmed, the demands, testing, it just didn't feel so good anymore.
Yeah.
So I've been in the trenches for a long time. And the stuff, our system, the way it's set up is kind of broken. And it doesn't really set up teachers or students or even parents to lift them up and make them just soar. Like, school is so great. It doesn't just innately set up that way. So for me to figure out how to stay in teaching and loving my job, I had to do a lot of digging. And actually, the digging came from wanting to get out. I kept my foot in the door, but I wanted the heck out of teaching. And so during that time, I discovered a way to stay in teaching and a way to love it and still get above all the mandates and testing and policies and still love what I do and help kids and make a bigger impact.
I love that. It's something that a lot of people go through. They've got that dream when they're a kid, and then when they get there and they've achieved it, it's like, this isn't what I expected life to be like when I was doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do. And what I love about your story is that you stopped, you looked at that, and you went, how do I fix it? So that's really what led you to what you're doing now. So you go into schools and you work with teachers. Tell me a little bit about how you approach changing that.
Yeah, so I love working with teachers, and I think one of the reasons is because I was that teacher in need of help. Someone dig me out of this hole, help me love my job again. So when I go into schools, I connect with the teacher right away. I let them know, I've got your back. I know where you've been. Tell me about what's going on with you. And so I think it's so important to connect with people on a very personal level and get to know them, get some support, and start off that way.
Yeah. That they don't have the support that they really need, that they're missing that who's got their back.
And a lot of the times it's the administrator saying, here, go to this professional development, learn more about math. Here, I need you to raise your test scores. But they don't usually connect at this personal level and say, here, what do you really need? How can I help you? How do you get more time in your day to help break through and really get across what you're trying to get across? So I come from such a different level of support and listening. And then my coaching is so different. It's not, I want you to raise test scores, and it's not, I want you to go learn more about math. More of, let's see, where do you think you want some support? And a lot of teachers, it's, I need help planning. I just don't have time. I don't even know what to do with this group of kids. And so once they get vulnerable, we can kind of jump in and figure out, okay, where can we start? How can I kind of lift you up and build you up and help you be successful?
Well, and I love that approach because that applies to, I think, all of us when we are burnt out, when we're frustrated, when things aren't working the way that we pictured they were supposed to work. We need somebody like that to come in and really look at, where are you stuck? Why are you stuck? And it's not usually, I need another class, or I need another certification, or I need more education around what I do, because those are the things we're good at. We've got the expertise part of it. It's all the other pieces around it. I know mindset is one of the things that you really work with people on. So what do you see as the biggest things going on for people when they end up in that burnout situation? What are the mindset pieces that they can start to adjust?
So, when teachers typically start getting burnout, they become just disenchanted with the whole education system. And colleagues are starting to badmouth testing and mandates and that kind of thing in the copy room. And then a parent sends you kind of an icky email, and it's like, you just start gathering all this evidence that this really sucks. You're just like, oh. So then our mindset just gets wrapped around of like, teachers work so hard, they don't get paid enough. Like, I need to get out of teaching. Like, this is too much. And when we go on that path, and I mean, as an entrepreneur, I've done the same thing. Like, this is really hard. Like, how do I get more clients and how do I put myself out there? It's the same kind of thing. So we kind of need someone to like coach us and pull us out of that mindset. Like, stop spinning in the same way, you know, like we're not getting anywhere this way. It's just pulling us, sucking us in. So it's like someone from the outside saying, I believe in you. You got this. But what can we do to pull you out? What do you need right now? And maybe it's just to vent for a little bit and then maybe, great. How can we move beyond that? You know, how could we pick you up and like take you out of that mindset and give you a new one? So it's kind of like installing new beliefs. You're awesome. Like, and another thing is, why did you do this? Why are you in teaching? What's your goal? Same thing for entrepreneurs. Like, why are you doing this? Going back to your why. Like, I want to make a difference for kids. I want to change their lives. Great. That's your focus. That's your like grounding statement.
I love that, because it is so easy when things get challenging and we all have those days to forget why we're doing what we're doing and to focus on that negativity. And it does pull us into that spiral. You know, another thing you mentioned is that you work with people around the defensive barriers that come up that stop them from being able to make progress. So what are the things that you see coming up like that are the defensive barriers?
I think one of the biggest things with teachers is that when a parent emails them and says, hey, I want to make sure my kid is being challenged right away, it's like, I'm not good enough. They're kind of tearing me down. And it's like right away, we kind of get that in the way. And it's like, instead of really hearing the parent saying, the parent just loves their child and wants the best. So I help teachers kind of navigate that and say, okay, what's coming up for you? What are you feeling about this? Like, well, the creeps, I can't believe, like, I'm doing so much. Well, they just don't know. So let's communicate that to them in a loving way. Like, oh my gosh, I love your kiddo. He's so great in math. Let me tell you this little story about him. And here's how I'm challenging. So it's kind of
like that.
Being aware, first of all, of what your reaction is. Like if all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't believe that. Kind of taking a step back and saying, well, what is that bringing up for me? What kind of feelings is that? So it's helping teachers navigate that. And two, on the other hand, is helping parents navigate that feedback too. You know, little Johnny is not reading at the right reading level. We're going to support him a little bit more. And the parents are like, what do you mean? Is he behind? Like, and they start to get upset that something's wrong with him. And it's not so much they're mad at the teacher, there's stuff coming up for them too. So it's just helping people work through all that feelings and kind of the bullshit that holds us back and that we believe, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, you're right. It is so easy when somebody sends us feedback like that or questions like that to take it personally and feel like they're saying we're not doing a good job or we're not challenging, you know, whether it's students or whether it's our clients. So, that's really an important note, to change our mindset around that and just listen, because so often we're so busy thinking about how we're going to respond or what do we do to defend ourselves that we do forget they're just expressing where they're at and we can help with that. So I love that you call yourself a renegade teacher because you've kind of gotten a little bit rogue on the education system with the way that you approach it. So what are some ways that, you know, I know I've got a lot of parents that listen to this show that they can connect with you or connect you with the teachers in their school district to be able to get some support and to figure those things out, because it does really take parents and educators working together to fix some of the things that can be improved in the education system.
Absolutely. So one thing I'd love to offer your listeners is a mindset masterclass. I've done this one a lot of times in person, on video, and kind of group coaching programs. And what I've done is recorded it and just kind of made a really clean copy. And go to renegadeteaching.com.
Okay.
And whether they're a parent or a teacher, and then get that video link sent to them.
Very cool. Okay.
So that's a great place to start.
So renegadeteaching.com is where you guys can find that. And if you know people in the education system, you've got friends or family members that are teachers or that are working with students, send them that link and let them know, hey, there's another way you can approach this. I know sometimes we as parents are frustrating for you to deal with. Here's somebody that's there to support you through that. And check it out yourselves, guys, because the mindset things that Jen teaches really do apply to so much more than just teachers. They apply to all of us and how we react, how we respond to things, and how we approach everyday life, because we do sometimes get trapped in that spiral of negativity. And if we can learn to pull ourselves out of it, and like Jen said, to refocus on why we're doing what we do, it makes all the difference in the world. And if you have somebody that can take that stand for you and remind you, like she said, I believe in you, that can make all the difference. I love that you mentioned that, because I know one of the things that was such a help to me when I started my business was I really had a lot of self-confidence issues, and I still struggle with that, but I had people around me, my coach and others that I worked with, who would remind me, hey, this is what we see in you. Do you find yourself doing that a lot with the teachers that you work with?
Yeah, just, they might have had a bad evaluation from one administrator, and that whole thing all of a sudden starts defining them. And people don't define us. Their feedback doesn't define us. We define who we are. And so they get to choose. You can live as that teacher who's like, oh gosh, I never do anything right. I'm criticized. Or you can choose to be like, you know what? I'm going to learn from this. This was their feedback. This is okay. I don't agree with it. You don't have to. So what are you going to do to become the teacher that you really are meant to be, the teacher at your core? So it's just reminding them, who are you? Who do you want to be? How can I help you be that teacher?
I love that. That's a beautiful way to put it. What's your favorite part about doing what you do?
The feedback I get, and knowing that I'm changing lives, and it's kind of far reaching. I had a parent that came to one of my seminars, and it was like a free seminar offered by the school district, and he came, and it was one of my mindset talks, and at the end he came up to me, he goes, you know what, I didn't come here intending to be a better parent. And I was like, okay. And he said, but I'm leaving wanting to be a better parent. And I was like, wow, that wasn't even like the goal of my talk, but it resonated with him in such a way. I was like, oh my gosh, that's gonna spill over to his kids and the way that he's helping with homework. It was just like that. Like I get goosebumps just sharing it. Like that's when I know I'm making a difference. That is what inspires me. Like I could teach all night that kind of way.
That's awesome. And those moments where we get that feeling and those goosebumps, I think it's just confirmation that we're really doing what we're here to do. And when we do that, you're right, it is such a far-reaching, it's like a domino effect, because the people you help them, it changes the relationships with everyone around them in a way that then kind of continues on as a ripple effect. I love that, because I really believe when more of us are doing what we're meant to do, that ripple effect makes the world a better place for all of us.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you find that zone and you're like, this is what I should be doing. Like right now, like this is my element. I love every second of it. When I started entrepreneurship, I was doing wellness coaching, nutrition coaching, and it was good, and I was making a difference, and I was growing my business, and I was like doubling my income like 3 years in a row. So I was doing well, though it didn't light me on fire. It wasn't the thing that I was like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. And it wasn't until I went through coaching and lots of growth, personal growth kind of seminars. And finally I was like, you know what? I'm meant to teach. I'm meant to stay in the system and help others stay too. When I did that, like the universe aligned and I had all these amazing opportunities. The superintendent of my school came to find me that next day after I had like outlined my vision and decided what I was going to do. And he said, what's your goal? What's your vision? What do you want to do? And I was like, funny you should mention. And I told him, I want to coach teachers. I want to make a bigger impact. And he said, yeah, he listened to me for like a half hour. We chatted. He goes, I believe in your vision. I want to create a position for you in this district so that you can coach more of our teachers. What? Like, thank you. So with nutrition, it kind of felt hard. Like I had to create packages. I don't know, it just seemed disjointed. Since this decision has come and I've like connected with this, it's been way easier. It flows and it's just like, oh, this is my element. So for entrepreneurs out there struggling, like, is this what I'm meant to do? Keep going and then keep tuning in. Like, what is it that you really want to do? Is there another element of this that you like really get fired up about? So it's my 2 cents.
That's fantastic advice. I think there's a lot of us that when we get started maybe aren't doing exactly what we're meant to do, and it can be a little bit of a journey to find that. But you're right, if we stay open and continue asking ourselves what fires us up, we can find that thing. And I love how just the very next day that opportunity presented itself for you. That is beautiful timing.
Yes, yes.
Very, very cool. It's, I think sometimes the universe sends us those signs when we're on the right path that things just kind of open up in a different way for us. Those doors are there. What would you say to anybody listening to this who maybe is where you were at before you made that decision? They're working either in a job or in a business that doesn't feel quite aligned, but they're not sure about taking that leap because it can be scary to step into something different. What advice would you give them having been there?
So the first thing would be to tune into all the people that are approaching them for advice or reaching out to them. What are people giving you accolades for? What are they saying like, hey, you always seem to know the answer for this. How can you help me with this? So that's like a natural thing. That's your calling. Like, what are you automatically always helping people do? That's one. And the other is just tuning into your heart. Like I was born teaching. Like that's what I'm meant to do. I mean, I can give me something to be passionate about and I can teach it all day. So find that thing that you would love to do for anywhere, anytime, even not getting paid for it. Like sometimes I almost feel like, oh my gosh, I'll just do that presentation for free because I love doing it so much. So that kind of thing, then you know you're in the zone, you're in the element. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's interesting because sometimes it's easier for other people to see that in us. I've talked with clients before that they're like, people say I get all excited about this thing. I'm like, well, let's do more of that thing in your business. If that's where people can hear that passion in your voice and you get excited, you feel great. Like you said, you're in that zone. I call it like the genius zone for you, and everybody's is different. But everything does become easier in a way. Like you said, it flows easier. And when you're in that zone, the things that aren't easy are worth it. So it makes it easier to push through those frustrating moments of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, make sure you go to renegadeteaching.com. You can find out more about Jen there, what she does, and connect with her if you're a parent or if you know a parent, if you know a teacher, especially somebody in the educational system, because our system does need our support and our help. If we want to see it succeed, leaving the system or being frustrated with it isn't the answer. The answer is always take action. If you want to see something different, then help change it. So help create that. Connect your teachers in your school district with Jen so that she can support them as well. And you never know what may just happen when you make those connections. So I encourage you, again, it's renegadeteaching.com. That's where you can find that video on mindset. Send teachers that you know there. And Jen, thank you so much for popping on to share. It's clear what you do really is what you are passionate about, and I love that.
Thank you. I so appreciate your time. I love your show. And when I was reading about you and you call yourself a renegade, I was like, we need to talk. So.
Yeah, it was funny. I wrote that blog post, 10 rules for renegades in business. And I had somebody write me back and they're like, I don't follow rules. I'm like, that was kind of the point. We're renegades. We don't follow the rules.
Right.
But, I think the world needs a few more people who get outside of the box and aren't in cookie cutter, because none of us are meant to be inside a box. We all have so many gifts to share with the world if we're brave enough to make that leap.
And when we break the rules, we're only doing it in a loving way because we believe there's a better way. We're not breaking them just to be mean and obstinate. There's like a love surrounding that. So
yeah, absolutely. I like that perspective, because it is one of those things that you're not breaking a rule just to break it. You're breaking it because literally you don't feel like you have a choice. There's a different way to do it. You see a better option. And that's a different approach completely. I love that. All right. Thank you again for being on today, guys. Do make sure you go to renegadeteaching.com. You can find out more about Jen there. And be sure you subscribe to the show. There should be a subscribe button somewhere near where you are watching or listening to this today. And tune in for the next episode. I will see you then.